Hey everyone, this is Corey with Casual EDC, and this is finally my response to the tag for 5 knives that make me happy. First of all, I just want to say sorry to both Knife Nerdery, Kevin, and Sharpened Blade. That's Michael over at Sharpened Blade. I'm so sorry that it took so long for me to do this video. I've just been away from the house, haven't been able to sit down with everything in front of me here, and now I have time to do it, so I'm finally getting this video out for you. So I was tagged by them. I do not know who is left to do this challenge, this tag video, not necessarily a challenge, but if anyone sees this and also has a channel, please consider this your tag if you have not done it yet. I know most have, but without further ado, let's get into the 5 knives that make me happy. The first thing I did was just set out the collection here. I have a few other knives sitting around, but I want you to kind of look at what I have here because it's not a whole lot. I definitely prioritize quality over quantity and really only keep things that I really enjoy. These 3 here are newer. I've had a proper a bunch of times. This actually just came in yesterday, and I think I'm actually going to keep it this time. There's some sentimental value to a Benchmade proper for me, and just a nice modern slip joint to have. And the baby Banter is probably not going to go anywhere either. But let's get into 5 knives that make me happy out of my collection here. The first thing I'm going to get into is this knife right here. This is a Bradley Moraes Custom Knives Vector. Bradley Moraes is the apprentice of Jason Guthrie, who, if you are not familiar with Jason Guthrie, he is the designer and maker of the Scout, the JG Scout, one of the most popular models being with a Wharncliffe harpoon blade. Now this is a very similar design to the Scout, but is made by his apprentice Bradley, located in South Africa. Jason has since moved to Norway, I believe, one of those Scandinavian countries from South Africa. But he did, he was the master that Bradley apprenticed under, and this is the 35th Vector that Bradley made, numbered 35 on the inside of the frame here. We have a two-tone micarta thumb stud. This is an M390 blade with a titanium frame lock, titanium pocket clip, pretty deep carry on the clip, nice lockup, and awesome detent. This is a straight back, which he doesn't make a whole lot of. He typically makes more of a drop point blade as well as a harpoon tanto, which I really want to get my hands on. But one of the reasons why this makes me happy is because it has been the custom knife I've had that has stuck around the longest. I've had a handful of customs. This Utzler slip joint is one of them. But this Moraes Vector has been around for the longest simply because it's that good. I've had a Gareth Bull Shamwari, also a South African maker, as well as a handful of Trevor Berger knives, also coming from South Africa. Those all being front flippers, being really good, excellent knives to carry, to use, good performance. But something about this knife with this detent, hopefully you can hear this. It just flicks right out, and then I'll get it nice and close here on the close. Let's see if you can hear that. It's just a beautiful detent. The blade is super slicey and functional. I don't think I'm going to get real good focus here with everything in the background. But this knife, despite being custom, is used and carried regularly. Doesn't show much signs of wear, but it is a fantastic piece. And every time I have this in the pocket, it makes me smile a little bit just because it's so good for being such a simple and clean design. Bradley really knocked this out of the park, and I really hope to get on his books for a knife to my own specs one day. Moving on to number 2, I'm going to pair these together here, but I'm going to go with the Atom, the TRM Atom, and the TRM Neutron. And these are upwards of these are near the top of my list here, and these 5 are in no particular order. I should definitely mention that. But these are up there with the 5 knives that make me happy, being grouped together as one, because of the slicey blades, the ease of scale swapping, which in the last video that I posted, you can see me swap the scales on this Neutron to these Match Anderson custom scales. I have 2 different scales on the Atom, just for the fall. I have the contoured OD green micarta, and then the 3D wing natural micarta on the show side. Just ease of scale swappability, excellent customer service, I love the Facebook group there. I'm heavily involved in it, so maybe you might consider that a bias, but it's a community that's really great within the knife community, and these are just great pieces overall. The Neutron being the smaller of the 2, the Atom being the big brother, but just really great carry knives that have super thin profiles, are thin in the pocket, thin overall with thin grinds, thin blade stock, and just pretty good action. Especially once broken in, these are on washers and they fly right out. If you did see the previous video, I was having some issues with the blade deploying with these scales on. It's just the depth of this screw here, this front screw. When it's tightened down all the way, it was just interfering with the blade. Not the blade itself, but rather the blade tang in this area. So I backed it off enough, and it's still in there plenty tight. And now it is no problem at all, and the knife is smooth as can be. Same with the Atom, nice and smooth. Drops right shut. Just really great pieces from TRM. Super customizable with all the scale options, titanium hardware, except for the pivot, as well as titanium liners and spacers, so lots of areas for customization. Just makes them a really great platform, and they're great performers. Number 3 for me is going to be the Benchmade Bug Out. Now this knife is usually my size comparison knife, as you guys probably know. This is sporting a set of Flightanium crossfade scales, I believe is the correct name of these. These have a bit of a contour to them, which I believe you'll be able to see. It makes it really comfortable in the hand, really sturdy, and of course it's titanium. If you wanted to anodize or do any unique patterns with anodization or any other titanium finishes, that is always an option with these, which is where I'm going with this being on the list. Just like the TRMs, super customizable. I have a Benchmade clip on this, but there are other clips out there like MXG and Lynch clips that fit. You have Benchmade's custom builder where you can choose all different kinds of blade steels, handle materials, thumb stud colors, spacer colors, etc. The aftermarket availability for parts is insane. You could get different colored hardware, different colored axis bars. You can get aftermarket axis lock springs. You can get back spacers, scales, clips, you name it, they make it. There's even a guy on Instagram who goes by Transparent Knives, who is currently doing reblades for the Bug Out with Magna Cut, S90V, S110V, really crazy steels that are, either super steels or new steels, anything other than S30V, But he's got all sorts of crazy blade shapes, Harpoon Tantos, Harpoon Warncliffes, some Peter Recenti looking blade styles, so some really neat stuff coming from him. But it carries really lightly, it's a great knife in its stock configuration, and you can customize it pretty much any way you want. The blade stock on these is just as thin as the Atom and the Neutron, and it cuts pretty much just as well. It might not be quite as thin behind the edge as them, but it's relatively close. It's not going to matter a whole lot. But just a really great platform for making a knife your own. There's really no limit to how far you can take the customization on a Bug Out, especially if you are willing to, mess with the blade or order a new blade for it. You could basically have an entirely new knife based off this platform here. So that's why it makes it on the list as our number 3. Number 4, I'm going to also pair 2 up here. being the large and small Sebenza. These are the 30s, but the 21s could also fit in here. You could even put an Inkosi in here, though I have never handled a small. These are just excellent knives. Build quality is crazy on these, as everyone knows. Chris Reeve is sort of the standard for high-end knives in the community. This is kind of where everyone gets their start. This is everyone's first grail, usually a plain titanium version of these, which I might even add another one, maybe a 21 with a Tanto blade, just to really abuse and work with. These are both great for carry and use. The small I keep on the tray here, just as an EDC. I have put my own edge on this. It is really sharp. The action on this has broken in really nicely. I have added a Lynch deep carry clip onto this. You can see it flicks right out. Drops right onto my thumb, no problem. Middle finger flicks nice and easy. Not as great with the left hand, but that's more so my fault, not the knife. But just very functional, very good build quality from CRKs. You know, running on washers, titanium frame lock. These have a ceramic ball detent that also acts as the lock interface. So these are gonna stay locked up like a vault pretty well. Really not going to work its way over too quickly, so this lockup should stay nice and tight, nice and sturdy for a long time. And then just really quick, I wanted to touch on these thumb studs here. I do have a video where I unbox this knife, but these thumb studs are aftermarket studs from TI Connector, or TI, titanium connector, however you want to say it. It's TI Connector, so whether you want to say TI or TI, that's where these are from. This mod work was done by Cap City Creations on Instagram. Ray did a great job. He put a 25-degree edge on the knife for me because I did not want to flatten the bevels myself. Just didn't have time to do it. So he did that for me, as well as adding these studs, which gave me double studs, which this knife did not originally have, which allows me to spidey flick it with no issue. And of course, no hole in the blade, which is one of those things that some people really like. But, you know, no warranty intact on this one because of the thumb stud replacement. But I'm not too worried. Like I said, these are built super well and are just great working knives. And it's a knife that I'm really excited to continue to carry, use, and work with. Just makes me happy when I have such a well-built knife in the pocket. Alright, last, but certainly not least, coming down to number 5, I'm going to go with the Baby Banter. Now this knife makes me happy, not necessarily because of performance or anything like that, but just kind of the story in general of Ben Peterson, as well as, you know, this right here could be basically anyone from the knife community who went from, you know, having a small or even a large platform like Ben did to launching their own designs and collaborations with different knife companies. Obviously, Ben got his start at Blade HQ. Well, he got his start at CRKT, but then moved on to Blade HQ, where he gained most of his popularity on their Knife Banter series. You know him as the "What is up, guys?" Yeah, that guy. He is the designer of the Baby Banter from Civivi, as well as the Banter from We Knives. And I've handled a Banter. It's a great piece. We did a good job with it. Good design, very plain but very functional. And the Baby Banter is a lot of the same. But like I said, generally speaking, this makes me happy just because it's about a community coming together. There's people who end up really gaining a following and a support, just a big support crew from people all over the internet, thanks to whether it's YouTube or Instagram, whatever it might be. Think of people like Notorious EDC made these little, like, I guess Warhawk is what I'm going to call them. Like the fighter jets were painted in World War II. That kind of style. They called them beer bombs. in their little EDC tools, bottle openers, and he has a huge following, and he made that product, and it has done very well for him. Anything Raven the Pirate themed, Orion knives with the Solaris, that's another great example. There's tons of examples of community coming together to make something happen. Think about basically every Kickstarter for a single design knife from someone you've seen on Instagram or YouTube. That's what makes me happy. It was really cool to see community coming together to make someone's dreams a reality. Someone comes up with a design on their computer, they put it out there to the public and say, hey, what do you guys think? And then people join together, either create a following or the current following of that person. They join up and they make it happen, and that's what's really cool. So of course Ben has had great success with that, which I'm very happy for Ben. Really great to see that a second product here has done so well. And always, of course, a big congratulations to anybody who has managed to do the same thing. Maybe not on the same level, but have even remotely any success. There are people drawing knives all over the place, and to draw a knife that people really like and come up with an own unique design and get that pushed through production and have that out there in the world for people to have, that's really awesome. And that's one of the best things about this community, banding together to make people's dreams come true. And that's why this makes me happy. It's inspirational to anyone who is looking to do something similar, and just a great example of what the knife community is all about. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Of course, there are the two knives I did not talk about in this video. Great knives as well, but not on the list of the 5 that make me happy. Thank you guys again for watching, and apologies again to Kevin and Michael for taking so long for this. Their channels will be linked down below. Please consider giving them a sub and checking out their content. They both make great videos and are super entertaining. So yeah, definitely check them out. And thanks again for watching. Have a great rest of your day and take care.